It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Make a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah
on Pulse 95.
Lately, I've been thinking about what is in my bag. Now, obviously, since the pandemic started, a lot of us started putting a lot of hand sanitizers, like of all kinds, the spray kinds, the small, tiny sprays, and the gel sanitizers, the wipes, etc. Even maybe some Clorox and Dettol wipes so you can wipe around the table or whatever utensils you're using if you are out. But also I was thinking about the other things, these small things that make your bag yours. For example, a good while back, I used to actually keep Band-Aids in my bag just in case anybody needed them. And they did prove super helpful in several situations. And I was thinking, I do not have bandages in my bag anymore, especially since I've been carrying smaller and smaller bags. And even though bandages or Band-Aids are very easy to store in your bag, I feel like I realized that perhaps they're not the type of things I want to keep in my bag anymore, but I've been rethinking that lately. But as for my work bag, which is completely different than my usual going out bags, of course, I have something that I think is very me. If I tell people I have this in my bag lately, they're going to be like, yes, this is Aisha. This is definitely Aisha. So for the past couple of, I say 2-3 weeks, I decided to start putting bags of green tea in my work bag. And my reasoning is that we do have green tea in our office, but the office is a good 2-minute walk. And sometimes I forget to pass by the office to grab some of these tea bags. So I started getting my own and keeping them in my bag. And they're also super helpful for whenever somebody else wants green tea and they're looking for green tea. But rest assured, Aisha has your green tea. I am here to the rescue. And those are just some of the things that I feel like make this person's bag or just shout their name whenever you look at them. Text me 4215 Bitalat or do, and welcome to the Afternoon Karak, also known as the Magic Hour. Gonna be keeping you company from 4 p.m. till 5 p.m. Running solo without Mikhail, but he is on his vacation. I'm not sure if he's tuning in right now, but I know he's definitely on TikTok. Definitely on TikTok right now. If I can guarantee something, he is on TikTok. Today we do have a celebration, keeping that tradition very, very strong. I also have a review. I did promise you guys, if you were tuning in yesterday, that I will be watching Sony's Cinderella starring Camilla Cabello. I have a lot to say about it, to say the least. So if you guys have watched it or are planning on watching it or just want to listen to me rant about it for the next couple of minutes, make sure you're tuning in. Also going to be talking about a rumor that Peacemaker, the HBO series, might be rumored to introduce Bane into the DCEU. We haven't seen Bane for quite a while, especially since that trilogy ended a good while back, and it's very different. So we're gonna see, are these rumors true or not, and what are the points of this rumor? We're also gonna be talking about Netflix and chills. Not Netflix and chill, but Netflix and chills. And if you have not guessed it from the title, it is the list of movies and the lineup of Halloween specials that are going to be coming up on Netflix. Those are just some of the things I'm going to be talking about today on the Afternoon Karak. So make sure you're tuning in and staying locked to Pulse 95.
What's the date?
What's the date?
What's the date?
What are we celebrating today?
Yesterday, we were celebrating Buy a Book Day, and I feel like this celebration can tie into it. And if you hear what it is, you might be going like, Aisha, no, how does that connect? But hear me out. Let me explain. So today is Pardon Day, which simply means saying or apologizing day, an apology day. And you might be saying, okay, how do those 2 days connect? Well, let me explain to you guys. So yesterday, there is a good chance if you heeded my advice, you probably most likely went off and bought a lot of books because it was Buy a Book Day. And in the process, you might have gone a little too far, perhaps, with the spending, which usually happens when you indulge or self-indulge, right? So I believe that perhaps you might need to apologize to yourself or your parent or your spouse or whoever basically, I'd say, helped finance this day yesterday. So yeah, happy Pardon Day. And I think, of course, this is an important day, and perhaps commemorating this day in particular can be, again, just like yesterday, how it was a push to buy you a book. This might be the push you need to apologize to somebody you were supposed to apologize to a long time back or a good while back. Now, here's the thing. Apologizing is never easy, but sometimes you might need to do it. Sometimes if you love the person enough, you might need to step back and say, you know what? I don't think it's worth fighting. I don't think it's worth the time apart. It is time to apologize to this person. And perhaps today is that day. Now, I'm not saying if that person has wronged you really badly to go ahead and just forgive them for no reason. No, you should still have this whole very important conversation and chat about how they wronged you and how you guys can solve it together. But again, this is the day where some silly things could have happened. Maybe pride came in between you two or three of you, or however, how many ever you guys are. And it could also be an ego thing when you're like, no, I'm never wrong. And I know that has happened to me many times, but it is important sometimes to value a certain relationship over other things, over that pride and ego. In fact, I feel like if you have an important relationship, like it's with your spouse or it's with some family members that you cherish a lot, or your best friends and very close friends, and maybe sometimes even colleagues, if you value this relationship very much, I do not think there should ever be pride in the first place when you guys are dealing with each other. Pride should be tossed aside for other situations, but not in between relationships such as these. So perhaps take advantage of today. Look back, or maybe you don't need to look back, because if you are hurt and angry with somebody, it's not going to be the sort of thing you're going to toss into the back of your mind. It's going to be there right in front of you, and it's going to probably make you see red for a good while. Or maybe you think that a lot of time has passed between this fight or argument, and you go like, I think our relationship has been severed and it's never going to go back to the way it is. I think that it is time for you to take a chance on that relationship and try again, because it is never a waste. I actually read this quote. It wasn't a quote. It was sort of a discussion point, or somebody brought it up. It was in Arabic, and they were talking about how nobody's truly valuable in your life and that everybody's replaceable. And I disagree with that incredibly, because I feel like if somebody is valuable, they would never be replaceable in the first place, and that they would never, ever leave your life anyway. So they'll always be an important part of it. But it all goes back to how much do you want to take care and cherish that relationship? How important is that relationship to you and your friend or that other party? Basically, it could be anybody. Again, it could be your friend, could be your spouse, could be your parent, a cousin, an uncle, an aunt, a colleague at work. If you care about them enough and they care about you enough, then that relationship is valuable and would never be severed. It can always be solved, and it can always start with an apology from one side or the other. Remember, there shouldn't be pride between those types of relationships. So happy Pardon Day, happy Apology Day. Today is the day, as I said, to toss away your ego and your pride and apologize to your loved ones. Text me 4215 it's Salat or do. Tell me, have you recently had to do that? Have you apologized to somebody, or is there somebody you do want to apologize to? Maybe you can give them a shout out. Maybe later on when the podcast is up, you can send them this link and tell them, hey, this is my apology to you. I'm going to be your messenger. I'm going to be the person in between and help you guys solve that issue. We're going to be taking a short break, and coming up next is my review of Sony's Cinderella starring Camilla Cabello, coming up next right here on the AfternoonKarak.
Is it an epic or epic failure? The Big Review. Movies, games, and TV in focus.
Pulse 95.
Today I am going to be reviewing none other than Amazon Prime and Sony's latest collaboration, and that is Cinderella, starring none other than Camilla Cabello, Idina Menzel, Minnie Driver, and so many more. It is obviously a romantic musical film that is based on the actual fairy tale. Now let's get deep into it. Goodness, to say that I did not enjoy it is an understatement because, well, okay, let's get deep into it. Before I glaze over it and give you my final verdict. Okay, so the thing is, the premise was just trying way too hard to modernize the idea of Cinderella. They were trying to change and uproot the essence of the story, and it made no sense at all to do that. I understand that we've had so many iterations of this fairy tale. Same goes for Sleeping Beauty, Snow White, The Little Mermaid. We know that, and we all often associate it with Disney, and they probably wanted to separate themselves as much as possible from Disney, and I understand that. I get that. They want to do something new, but they failed. They were trying so hard to do something new that just came off as incredibly messy. There was just so many things going on. First of all, I'm trying not to give any spoilers, but it's Cinderella's story. There isn't much of a spoiler, so I might go or delve deep into spoiler territory. The biggest thing that they changed is the fact that, well, apparently the prince already knew Cinderella, and he spotted her way before the ball. In fact, he made the ball just for her so he can meet her there. And that was just unnecessary. Again, it removes the whole element of, dropping the glass slipper, because at the very end of it, because he recognizes her and because he knows her, the idea of him having to go from one place to another to find her and to give her slipper back just was lost, because it made no sense anymore, because he wasn't looking for her because she's this mysterious lady. He already knew who she was, and it was just unnecessary. And the whole plot with the prince's sister Gwen, who is a much better fit to be the next monarch to run the kingdom, but the whole, oh, you're a girl, we have traditions, and it just felt very flat. There wasn't, I know that this is an actual case and it's an important topic to talk about, but felt incredibly flat, to say the least. It was just too much. Pierce Brosnan, I was very shocked to see Pierce Brosnan as the king, because I did not watch the trailer. I watched a bit of it at the very beginning when it first came out, and I was like, I do not like any of this. So I did not know that he was in that movie, so I was very shocked to see all those big names involved in it. Like I said, Minnie Driver, Pierce Brosnan. I did know that Idina Menzel is going to be part of it as well as the stepmother, but even her role as a stepmother just made no sense. When they tried to make her a gray character too much, that it just became very muddied. She wasn't black or white nor gray. It was just a very messy character. They just changed her way too much to the extent that it made no sense. Like, half of the stuff that she thinks and she says are very contradictory. And I know we're humans, and it adds a whole level of nuance when you have a character that is so gray that they're so messy. I get that. But at the same time, it was a little bit too much that there was no substance to the character. Again, the rest of the characters, none of them really sparked into my mind. None of them left any impact. None of them were interesting enough. There was just too many plot lines happening, too many stories, too many changes to the story that I did not find them very interesting. The only redeeming quality to this movie was none other than the music. They took a lot of well-known pop and rock songs such as Somebody to Love and Am I Wrong? And they were pretty good. They fit into the story. But that is it. That is absolutely it. That is the only redeeming quality to this entire movie. And I have to say, Somebody to Love, the whole sequence felt ripped off out of Ella Enchanted. I'm a massive fan of Ella Enchanted. Watched that movie at least 30 times when I was younger. But honestly, it just felt too similar to it. And yeah, I really did not enjoy that movie, to say the least. The only fun characters, just a tiny bit, were Malvolia and Nerissa, the stepsisters. They were fun to watch. Otherwise, nobody else kind of stuck into my head. Nobody was as notable as them. To me, the movie was too much of a mess. Even the swan song did not have an impact on me. And I'm really sorry, but Camilla didn't really work out in this movie, and her dialogue was too overbearing, and it was just very hard to get through this 1 hour and 52 minutes, which is why the best score I can give this is me being generous, and that is a 4 out of 10. Again, only for the music, and that is it. I would probably go down to a 3 maybe tomorrow, I'm not sure, but all in all, Cinderella by Sony was a mess to a classic, and they tried way too hard to create something new. We're going to be taking a short break, and coming up next is the sports headlines, Peacemaker, and Netflix and chills, only here on Pulse 95.
Speculation, gossip, or hoax. Rumor has it.
If you guys have watched the latest Suicide Squad movie by James Gunn, you'd know, actually even without that movie, you'd know that Peacemaker is one of the most important characters, simply because he is going to be getting his live action adaptation of, basically, it's going to have his own series on HBO Max. Now, according to this rumor by Moviescope, they say that during Peacemaker, the TV show, we're going to be getting Bane, as in he is going to be debuting officially into the DCEU through that TV show. Now, here's the thing. Moviescope has previously reported the rumor of Wanda Maximoff facing off against an X-Men character in the upcoming Doctor Strange sequel, which we don't even know if it's confirmed or not, because we don't even know what the premise of Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, is in the first place, and we will not know until perhaps a little bit around December, when we get closer to the next Spider-Man movie, and that movie is well established, and perhaps there are some spoilers in that movie that can eventually lead to the plot of Doctor Strange. So what I'm saying is that we should take this piece of news with a grain of salt, because it is from is it a reputable source or is it not? We don't really know yet. So they claim that, like I said, Bane is going to be appearing for the first time in that show. And honestly, I feel like it can make sense. Now, I am not an expert in DC comics, so I'm not really sure if they do face off each other in the comics. But I feel like with the extensive volumes and chapters we've had within DC Comics, there's a good chance they probably had at least one face-off or two. And perhaps the creator, that is James Gunn, he maybe has some sort of I'd say vision, where even if that did not happen within the actual comics, he thinks that this can work out. And if you think about Peacemaker in comparison to his other colleagues, again, Bloodsport aside, he doesn't really have any sort of mechanical enhancement or some sort of superpowers, such as, similar to Polka Dot Man or, the other characters that were in Suicide Squad. And you might say neither does Harley Quinn. I understand that. Again, I'm talking about in terms of leveling the playfield. It makes sense that Bane can be introduced in this series because they can more or less face him off. Now, I'm not saying Peacemaker cannot face off a supervillain or a superhero that has any powers in the first place, because he showed us that he's more than capable of doing that, again, in the comics and even in the latest Suicide Squad movie. So I say that this is probable, like that can happen. We just need to wait and see. These are probably people who are it's a very deep within the industry who have this on information, or they might have misheard this, so we don't really know. And as usual, we need to wait and see. And this just means that if we see Bane, are we gonna eventually be introduced to another Batman, or is he gonna be connected to Matthew Reeves's Batman? We don't really know, because again, as we said many times before, the DCEU is kind of, it is a mess. It is a mess. I have to be very honest. It is quite a mess, especially with their latest retcon and them claiming that they have a multiverse now. It's just still there's a question of what connects with what, especially since we've had 2 Suicide Squad movies. Does the second one retcon the first one? What is going on there? Even though it's technically a sequel, but it's not a sequel at the same time, so we don't really know about that either. So there are so many questions that should be answered by Warner Brothers and whoever's running the DCEU, besides, similar to how we have Kevin Feige in Marvel Studios, who's keeping a good watch on the MCU and its various phases and the timeline. We don't really know who is the person who is kind of keeping a good watchful eye. We know that Hamada is there, but he is new to the DCEU. He has just been appointed as the head of DC not too long ago. I believe it was a year ago. It was around the time when there was the whole thing with Ray Fisher and how he was mistreated on the set of Justice League, the Justice League from 2017. So we don't really hear about him talk or come up and chat about the multiverse that is within the DCEU. So again, we don't know what is happening, who is going to be introduced, who isn't going to be introduced. It is all up in the air and it's all probable, but at the same time can also be just random rumors. We're going to be taking a short break, and coming up next, we're going to be talking about Netflix's newest lineup of Halloween specials in Netflix and Chills. Coming up next right here on the Afternoon Karak.
Make a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah
On Pulse 95.
Now, this isn't something new from Netflix, but they love to capitalize on various occasions, and this is one of the occasions that I feel like they've been capitalizing on successfully, because they are back with another lineup from their Netflix and Chills. Not Netflix and Chill, but Netflix and Chills. Now, this is their Halloween special lineup, so they are basically announcing every single movie, whether it's a Netflix original film or a Netflix original series, or just a well-known movie and series that are associated with Halloween that are going to be coming out starting from today all the way into the next couple of months. Obviously, we know that Lucifer, the last season, is going to be coming out, and you might say You was not horror, but it is. You know it is. It is a very creepy TV show. It's about a very creepy man, and it's about being stalked and whatnot, and you guys know the story. So it does fall easily into basically the horror genre. I was going to be talking about some other movies that are going to be coming out. Everybody knows Jaws. It is a classic, going to be coming out on the 16th of September. There is a specific movie that I've been waiting for. I saw it, some of the stills and parts of the trailer. I think a trailer came up, but I did watch something, guys. Just trust me on that. And it is called Midnight Mass. It is a Netflix original. It's from the creators of The Haunting of Hill House. It basically tells the tale of a small, isolated island community whose existing divisions are amplified by the return of a disgraced young man and the arrival of a charismatic priest. When Father Paul's appearance on Crockett Island coincides with unexplained and seemingly miraculous event, a renewed religious fervor takes over the community, but do these miracles come at a price? And I love those sort of movies or stories simply because it blurs the line between the supernatural and basically people scamming other people, and it looked very, very eerie when I came across it. Another movie that I'm quite interested in is The Chestnut Man. and it's also from the creator of The Killing, and it is set in a quiet suburb of Copenhagen, and it's where the police make a terrible discovery one blustery October morning. A young woman is found brutally murdered in a playground, and next to her lies a small man made of chestnuts. Very creepy. 10 out of 10. Would definitely watch that movie, or probably at least check out the trailer first to make sure that it's appropriate, even though I wouldn't say I hate or dislike horror movies. They are quite enjoyable and I enjoy them very, very much, but it just depends, because we've had a lot of misses when it comes to the horror genre, and Mikhail and I have spoken about it so many times, and there are some things within the horror genre that makes it very nuanced and very fun to watch, like the whole horror element, the campy parts of horror, and then there are those movies that are 99% just jump scares and no plot line. I'm not saying that every single horror movie should have a very deep meaning behind it. It could just simply mean that there's an axe murderer who wants to go around and kill everybody. That also works, but also there should still be some sort of plot, even if it is crazy man wants to kill people. That is still a plot. Another very interesting thing that is coming to Netflix on the 5th of October, it is Escape the Undertaker, and I think it is Netflix's attempt, or at least another attempt into having some sort of interactive game series movie kind of thing going on. It is an interactive film featuring WWE superstars. The Undertaker has set a trap for the decorated tag team The New Day at his mansion. What they don't know is the Undertaker's mansion is an extreme haunted house, packed to the brim with supernatural challenges. It is up to viewers to decide the fate of the three poor souls trying to survive the wrath of the Undertaker. So basically, it has the same elements of that episode, I think it was called Bandersnatch, that was from Black Mirror a couple of years ago. And I believe that, again, this is something similar to what Netflix is trying to, I'd say, diversify itself into different territories, basically to stay up and above all the other streaming services. There are many, many different shows. Another one that I'm quite interested in is A Tale Dark and Grim, and it's going to be part of Netflix family, so it's not going to be that terrifying, and perhaps you can watch it with your younger siblings and your family. It is based on the best-selling book series by Adam Gitwitz, and the animated series follows Hansel and Gretel as they run away from their home to find better parents, or at least ones who won't chop off their heads. And of course, it is about them venturing through other classic Grimm fairy tales. So it's another take on the classic fairy tales. So that is why it's going to be an interesting take, and it's going to be interesting for the entire whole family. Check out the entire Halloween lineup of Netflix and chills. I'm pretty sure you guys are going to find plenty of movies and TV shows that you guys will definitely going to enjoy as we get closer to Halloween, or if you are a fan of the horror genre. And again, Netflix has gone above and beyond to give us a whole wide array of choices, so I'm pretty sure there's going to be something for everyone. And with that, we wrap up over here on the Afternoon Karak. I've been keeping you guys company from 4 p.m. till 5 p.m. Gonna keep the same vibes tomorrow as well, with our usual review of none other than the latest episode of Marvel's What If. I believe it's gonna be based on that zombies episode. I think it's gonna have a couple of zombies in it. Very interesting and very different than what we've been watching for the past couple of weeks. But I look forward to talking about it with you guys tomorrow. Now, I leave the desk for none other than the amazing Big Hass and Anna Schofield from Yalla Home. So stay tuned and stay locked to none other than Pulse 95.
If you liked this episode of Afternoon Karak, drop a like and subscribe.
Pulse 95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.